beautiful people. Welcome to a day in the life vlog. I'm gonna film all the bits and pieces that I get up to and give you some insights into my routine as a full-time social media manager. I feel like you guys like these day in the life vlogs. I always get questions, what I actually do for my job, what it's like being a social media manager. So I feel like this always answers all of those. And it allows me to kind of show you into some of my cool systems and processes and things like that. So I had a slow start to my morning. It's a Monday. I'm not really a morning person. You're not really gonna see me part of the 5 a.m. club. So relaxing morning. And something I've been doing as my little morning ritual recently has been waking up, no phone time. So phone is outside of the bedroom or it's like outside of bed, so I have to get up and turn my alarm off. I talk to a lot of other freelancers and business owners about this, but I think we have such an addiction to our phone. And it's really good to remind myself that I can take an hour just for me to do my little morning routine, and the problems that might be in my email, they can actually wait for another hour and it's not the end of the world. But what it does is help me get in the best mindset possible for the day. Sometimes this is actually more difficult than it sounds like, oh, just don't look at your phone in the morning. And honestly, I have such an addiction. I've had to be really strict on myself in the last 2 weeks of doing this and creating this morning routine for myself, because I was slipping back into those bad habits and I've been really struggling with my anxiety and stress. So this is kind of like the first step in how I look after myself and be productive. What I've been working on now is diving into my to-do list and just organizing this for the day and also for the week, because it's a Monday, and just figuring out what tasks are going when, what I'm going to be focusing on in each day. Mondays get very admin heavy and I was feeling a little overwhelmed looking at my to-do list. So what I did was strategically drag some of the easiest tasks to do those first, like things that I can tick off in like 5 minutes. So I did my GST return for the studio. That's like our tax in New Zealand that we have to file bi-monthly for the studio. I changed out the Facebook banner for my student community. I just needed to update some of when our live lessons and live Q&As and calls would be. So that was really easy because it was already in my calendar. I just needed to put it on the graphic and put it in the group. I've also put up some client posts and replied to their messages. I have a client who spends quite a lot on Facebook ads. They do a lot of paid advertising. And with that, we get quite an influx of Facebook messages. So I help manage the Facebook inbox. One of my contractors does the Facebook comments. And I don't reply to them over the weekend because they're closed over the weekend. And on Monday, sometimes there's a little bit of a backlog. I've also signed myself up for a new membership. I'm always looking for new things to like upskill and develop and, you know, learn and do better things in my business. And this one's specifically for copywriting. I have done a copywriting course in the past and I didn't love it, but this one is more of like access one-on-one to a copywriter to get more support in auditing. So I think the structure will work for me a little bit better. I also just made a scary investment in this webinar software. I was using this about a year ago, and then I came up for my 1-year subscription renewal, and it's very expensive. So I was like, let me give it a shot, see if I can do the same thing without using the software. And I've been talking a lot on, has it been on my socials or my podcast, or has it just been to my students? Maybe it's just been to my students, but I've talked about how my conversion rates for my evergreen webinar funnel for my course sales have dropped down a little bit. So I think that software was actually helping with my conversion rate. So I think I'm gonna go back. Well, I am going back to it. I've just bought it and it's over 1,000 New Zealand dollars. So it's like a lot, but Q1, I went really big on investments, on tech, on hiring in my business, and my expenses were very high. Q2 of this year, I wanted to bring that back and lower my expenses a little bit. I successfully did that, but obviously there wasn't a huge amount of growth of my income. It was pretty solid, I was pretty happy, but you know, we weren't reaching any new goals. So I'm trying to find that happy balance, and I think Q3 is now gonna be like, okay, investing, like buying new things, how can we upskill, how can we grow? So it's kind of like those seasons in business where we bounce backwards and forth. On the rest of my to-do list today, I've got to put some video concepts together for a client, I've got to reply to a bunch of emails, I've got to update all my July analytics, so I'll show you how I do that. And I have a new client that I'm onboarding, which I'm so excited about. So I'll show you a little bit of my onboarding process and different software and things that I use. We have a really nice balance today of work for clients and work for my own business. And this is what I really love to illustrate in any of my vlogs. You need to find that balance as a social media manager. You can't just spend your entire days building someone else's businesses and serving your clients. You want to make sure you're doing something for yourself as well. Working on a little bit of my own content, replying to emails that are, relevant for brand collaborations for me, as well as, putting up client posts, putting together the onboarding stuff for the new client. If I have time, I want to start working on my social media manager template bundle and updating and adding a few things to that and working on a little bit of a flash sale for that. So that's my balance of clients and me. Myself getting really frustrated because everything on my to-do list that was meant to be quick and easy was taking a lot longer, which happens. And I think one of the things I've learned as a business owner is you have to really adapt your schedule and be open-minded. You can go into the day with a perfect little to-do list and a plan of everything that you want to achieve, and the majority of the time you won't achieve all of it and things won't go according to plan. So I just try and accept that, and I just hit my steps goal, fantastic. But I often try and get out of the house and go for a walk. When I'm trying to have a productive day, I know that taking breaks actually benefit me more than trying to power through the to-do list. Improves the quality of my work, improves my mood, and the mood is the most important thing. There's no point working if you're not feeling good and happy. And I do love my job, but sometimes, there's frustrating things you have to deal with, emails, things don't go according to plan. So we're on a walk. So I tend to have always blocked my tasks according to days. I like to do things in bulk, whether that is video editing, whether it is admin stuff, whether it is the content creation, like the shooting content or editing videos. And today is very much an admin day, so it's kind of boring but realistic. I've replied to so many emails, I've sent so many emails. I'm doing some pitching at the moment, some cold pitching, so fingers crossed we get some response to those. And the other thing I've been doing is thinking about content ideas for a shoot that I'm going to have tomorrow for a client. So it's not like a full-blown shoot, it's just a casual monthly content shoot that I do. Most of it is just shot on my iPhone. I might go up to the studio to film this one. We'll see how we go. Not tomorrow, the next day. I was going to do it on Wednesday because the studio is actually booked tomorrow, so I can't use it. First world problems when your content studio gets too booked out and busy. But I basically have a little section in each client's content calendar for brainstorming and content ideas, and I will update this on an ongoing basis. So if during the month I come across a funny reel and I'm like, oh my God, that'll be funny for my next content shoot, I just have a place where I can dump it, because I feel like sometimes ideas just come to you randomly, and it doesn't always come when you sit yourself down at a computer to be like, okay, it's time to come up with my 10 video ideas for the month. So having an ongoing list and a place to store those ideas is really helpful. And this month I only had one idea on my list, so I needed another 7 to go on. And my process with this is always to start with client inquiries or customer inquiries in the case this is a product-based business. Any comments, any questions we've had. And I always think a lot of people make this mistake when it comes to content creation. They immediately go to their phone and they start scrolling for ideas. You should be putting your audience front and center. You should be thinking, okay, what questions are they asking? What comments have we had recently? And get your ideas from your audience and what they're struggling with at the moment. This is where you get really great, high-performing content because you've made something that is exactly what your audience has been thinking about or they've been wanting, because if you have one customer inquiry, someone else is probably going to have that same question. So I do this for my clients and for my own business as well. So I kind of went through some comments and saw some ideas from there. Then for this is a regular client, so I can also go back and look at their past performing content, things that I've done previously, last year or the year prior or just a couple of months ago. So I've also pulled some ideas from there of things that I kind of want to recreate and do with different products. I also have to keep in mind what I created for them last month, so make sure we're highlighting different products. So there was a few things that I was like, oh, we haven't actually done a video on that in a while. So I pulled that forward. I've also started putting next to the video idea what I would like that style of video to be. So is it a voiceover? Is it a stop motion video? Does it have a trending audio? I will add that link on Instagram so I know when I'm filming it, I can go find it easily. And I just have a really nice list of ideas so that when it comes to shooting, it's not going to take me 8 hours because I'm trying to come up with ideas and shoot content at the same time. I've got a really nice guideline to be efficient with my content shoot on Wednesday. So I'm going to hit save on that. That's all ready to go. I don't want to show you just because like I haven't made this content yet and too many spoilers, but I do often show my students in the Dishing Out Digital School all of this kind of stuff. I've had my lunch and I've been working on onboarding this new client. It's now 3:37. I do have in my template bundle and in my courses a document that is kind of like a client onboarding doc. And I see a lot of other social media managers that use this kind of thing, which is why I created it. And it's basically a little PDF that goes through Q&A, things you need from your clients and explaining them the onboarding process. But in all honesty, whenever I'm bringing on a new client, it's not happening very often. I went back and looked, the last time I did this was 2022. So I have good client retention, so I'm not always onboarding new clients, and I only work with 2 to 3 social media management clients at a time. I'm not going to go into the reasoning for that because I feel like I've talked about it in so many other videos, but that is the structure to my business at the moment. I have had periods of time where I've been working with up to 12 monthly clients, and still this is the system that I use. But for me, I want it to be a really personal process. And I don't necessarily use a template or even the template that I've created that was just from a request from students. But I really just put it into an email. It's just a simple, straightforward email where I go, here is your contract. These are the next steps. And this is what I need from you. So those 3 sections of the email. Before I start working on content creation, before I do anything, apart from this one email, I need a signed contract and I need my invoice paid. So the onboarding process is a little bit slow, and it's going to depend on how quickly your client gets back to you with those details, with the contract, with the invoice. I got asked recently by a student how long you should tell clients that this is going to take, and I usually give the 1 to 2 week window, and I tell them that the faster they are getting back to me with things, the faster we will be able to start working together. So if we want a quick turnaround, I'm saying yeah, we can do that. I'll just need you to be super switched on and replying to all my emails. So 1 to 2 weeks is a good timeline. And then I officially start my months of working that are in the contract. So there's a couple of weeks before the contract officially begins, which is this onboarding, which is the prep work. I'm going to be doing a video this month on tools and software that I recommend, but just briefly, PandaDoc is what I use for contracts. Then I've basically sent them a calendar link using Calendly, and this means they can go book in. It's all linked to my calendar, so it doesn't double book anything. They can go choose a time that suits them. That will be their kind of kickoff strategy call. I've then written a little bit of a timeline, being this is when you want to have your call. Because this particular client, I did discuss I have one client finishing and then these guys starting. There is a little bit of a timeline we've already discussed, but I've just reinforced it by putting it in email. Then I've written out a little bit more of a timeline to be this is the date where we'll be finalizing the content, and this is the date where we will be aiming for your first pieces of content to go live. So it's really clear from this onboarding email what they can expect. And then I've got a section called What I Need From You. This is really important in the onboarding process to have as a social media manager. This is where I'm asking for any existing content that they have. So if they've done a photo shoot already, if they've got some B-roll or past video clips that I could potentially be using and repurposing to get us started instead of filming new content straight away. I'm also asking for any logos, fonts, or brand colors. Any sort of info pack that they might have on their branding. If they've worked with a graphic designer, they usually have one of these. But if they haven't, I'm just do you have specific fonts that I need to be using? Are there specific colors? Can I have a high-res copy of your logo kind of vibe? And then the third thing on my list of what I need from them is 2 to 3 Instagram accounts that they love and admire that I can draw inspiration from. And this is exactly why I don't have this as a full-blown template, because I just like to keep it simple. There's actually not much to an onboarding process. Once I have this contract signed, the invoice paid, that is when I start doing some initial research. I start content mining, which is going through the client's website and pulling out anything that I could potentially repurpose and turn into content. I'm going to look at old, interviews this client has done, blog posts, podcast interviews, anything I can source information from. I'm going to start researching and going through their posts and seeing which ones are the top performing. And I'm also going to be getting myself set up and logged into their account as well, which actually I should put that on the next steps. Yeah, I'll add that in there because I think with this client, I want to get access as soon as possible so I can start going through their analytics and things and looking at their top performing posts. So I'll link it all up to Metrical, get myself Facebook admin access, all of that good stuff. So you can see why sometimes it does take that 1 to 2 weeks if there's a little bit with back and forth with passwords, with two-factor authentication, all of that stuff. But I'm so excited because this is like a dream client for me to be working with. There's such a cool niche, something a little bit different for me, but it's actually a business that I have followed and been a customer of since I was at uni. So I'm really excited about this one. It's finally happened. I've put my onesie on. It is so cold and I'm not used to this because we live in an apartment and naturally smaller space, way easier to heat. We've got double glazing, really great insulation. So we don't really get cold. And then I'll go to other people's houses and be like, wow, this is cold. So it's a cold day out there when it's cold inside the apartment. But basically I didn't want to put on a nice jumper and change or anything, which I usually would do for a YouTube video. But I want to go to a 5 o'clock yoga class, and I know if I take my gym clothes off and put on a nice jumper and cozy warm outfit and sweatpants and everything, then I will not go to yoga because I'll be too cozy and there's a barrier of I need to then go put my gym clothes back on. So if you ever see me posting Instagram stories or, vlogs like this and I'm hanging out in my activewear, 9 times out of 10, it's because I have plans to go to the gym and I must stay in my activewear. What is the time? Let me get my watch out from under my hoodie. It is 4:15 now. I've sent off that email to the new client and just been checking out a few things, double checking Facebook page admin access and instructions for them because I like to make things as easy as possible for my clients, but Facebook does not. Meta does not. They're always changing these things. And for years, it's always been Facebook page admin. And I've just checked it now and it's now access. And you can give someone basic access and partial access. So that's annoying, but we've explained that. I am super excited about this new client. I have been sharing on my social media and I did a podcast episode about it this week about my journey of booking a new client and sort of my tips if you are looking for clients at the moment and how to get those clients on board, the different strategies that I use. Basically, this all happened for me kind of in a funny month where I was not feeling my best. And I found myself in the position where I was very anxious, I had very low confidence, and I had to go put myself out there looking for a client. And I'm so gutted because I filmed this really great vlog, which was about working through stress in business and a live, this is me really stressed and anxious and how I'm getting through my week and all of my strategies when you're just you feel like nothing is in your control. It's easier for me to vlog on a day like this because I don't feel particularly stressed or anxious and it's all, great to reflect, from my wisdom of my experiences. But that vlog was so good because it was me in the trenches, going through it, battling it, and sharing it with you guys. And I filmed the whole thing and I'd hit the stupid button on my camera, which films everything in slow motion. So the whole thing was in slow motion and it had no audio. So I had to scrap this entire vlog, which is why there's been a little bit of a gap in my uploading schedule at the moment. So regular subscribers, apologies for that. Thanks for sticking through. We just had a technical glitch. But maybe I can film or refilm that vlog at another point where I feel like I want to share a bit of a live, I'm going through it, this is how I recover type vlog. Right now, I'm going to tackle updating my social media manager template, filming some content to promote that as a little bit of a flash sale, I think, or planning a flash sale maybe for next week, I'm not sure, but I at least want to update the templates and share some Instagram stories on those. Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm working here at the dining table and not my fabulous, beautiful office, which is so pink and gorgeous, I will often work from here in the afternoons once I have lunch so that I can watch TV while I work. And this just makes me feel like I'm having a lovely, relaxed afternoon whilst still being productive and getting things done. We did it. We went to yoga. I've been posting some Instagram stories and I wanted to share with you my little stories hack for being a little bit more consistent. But I've spent the last hour since I got back from yoga just getting my template bundle ready, and I did the classic thing where I was like, it's all ready to push live, and then I was like, I don't want to, imposter syndrome. I'm like, Ellen, this is already a product you've released and you're just like adding a new item to it. And it's just so funny how our brains work, especially when we run our own businesses, and just like everything comes down to us, right? Like we have to do the things. And sometimes you can sit all day beavering away working on something in the background, and then when it's time to release it to the world, you suddenly question everything. So I just ignored that feeling, pushed send on the email, blasted that out to my list, and then I went to put some Instagram stories up, got totally distracted voice messaging a whole bunch of people, had some questions from followers in my community, and then also from some of my friends. If anyone asks me for business advice, honestly, I send them like, literally look at this, all of the voice notes. But basically it had gotten too late for me to record any nice, pretty stories. You know, I'm not looking super cute today. I mean, I love my T-Swift Eras Tour jumper, which I didn't go to, I just have the jumper. But like, my hair, no makeup, we're not the cutest in the world. And if that is a barrier for you for getting on stories, which I think it is for a lot of us, we want to look our best when we show up to the world. It's a little bit different for YouTube because I only know there's like a small community who watches my vlogs. Occasionally they do blow up, so I feel like I probably just jinxed myself there. But yeah, it's different on YouTube. Like I feel like I can be my raw, most honest self. And when I'm in one of those moods where I'm like, I need to post on stories, it's so easy to stop just because you're not feeling like you look your best. And my favorite hack for this is to collect up a little archive or folder of like little selfies that you can add text to. So a prime example is what I've just posted on stories today. We are not the same person. The selfie in me, this was when I was feeling on point. I had all my makeup, had my slick brows, all of that. So I've taken a little photo from my walk today. So also another hack there, just capture little moments throughout your day. On top of that, I have added a starting the week celebrating new dream social media management client is officially on board and I can't wait to work with them. And then I've added a little screenshot from that client email saying let's do it, to add just a little bit of visual interest and get people hooked. And then it cuts to that selfie of me and I start talking about the template bundle. This is my favorite structure and way to do stories, is some kind of hook, celebration or personal snippet, and then jump into a little bit of a sale. What can you link what you're talking about, something personal that's happened, to an offer that you have. Then I have a super easy Instagram story, which is actually a repurposed Instagram feed post that I did a few weeks ago. Again, keeping it so easy for myself. And then I've taken the same screenshots that I used in the email list and popped that in there for a third story. And then my final story is just using the same garden shot, but I've put an opaque color over it to make my text stand out. And the text that I've used is just copied and pasted from the email that I sent out to my email list. So that is a really good set of stories, in my humble opinion. And having that bank of selfies, taking little snippets throughout your day, and having that structure is a really great way to be selling on stories and to be showing up every day. And I just wanted to put this in as a reminder because, again, so easy to prioritize your client work as a social media manager and forget about this. But think about ways that you can make it easier for yourself. How can you just like whack some stories together, take the perfectionism out of it, and get the content up there? And if I check my emails, we have sold 2 template bundles in the half an hour since I put those posts up and since I sent out that email to my list. In my mastermind group, they were talking about upsells, so I've added a little upsell to it to a masterclass, also at a discounted price. And that was where I really got the idea to like, hey, why don't I just like add this as a flash sale, not just upload it into, you know, the template bundle and just leave it. I'm like, let's make some noise out of it. And this is also the other reason why I love joining memberships and masterminds and things like this, is because of the ideas like that, the way that people just push you and you can just get inspired and motivated and see what's working behind the scenes of someone else's business and how you could apply that to your own. So yeah, I'm gonna cook dinner now. The only thing I didn't get done on my to-do list was doing my analytics updates for logging everything that I did in July. So I do analytics for all my social channels and any metrics across key platforms that I want to track that's aligned with my goals. But then I also track things like conversion rates on my funnels, my email list, how many signups I've had for courses, book sales, template bundle sales, masterclass sales, all those individual products so I can see any trends, and also pay in fulls versus payment plans. So if you guys are interested, I could definitely show that to you in another vlog, but I think I'm just gonna make dinner and watch Game of Thrones and call it an evening there. We're not gonna work too late tonight. It is officially 7:38. My phone locks me out of Instagram at 8 p.m. to keep me from scrolling. And that is the end of the day in the life of a social media manager. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too boring. This is a realistic day in the life. This is real. This is what we look like. But I hope you enjoyed it regardless. I hope it was interesting and insightful. If you guys want a copy of my template bundle, I'll also put that down below. All the info on how you can work with me, any of my freebies, my templates, my courses, you'll also find in the description box. And yeah, let me know if you guys want more vlogs, if you enjoyed this, if you want more, let me know.